I'm outside here in the squash and melons area. So here we have just squash. Here's a zucchini plant. So squash and melons are new. So I'm going to document my journey in how to plant, maintain squash and melons.
Oh.
So right now, I just started pruning and I thought, why am I not documenting this? So I had some really dry and dead leaves, and pruning really helps direct the energy into other parts of the plant. So you see, there are some flowering coming up. I'm not too sure if I should, because it's so young, there's some vegetables, they like it when we pluck off the flowers. So because it doesn't really grow very big if you leave them on. For instance, pepper plants, you should always pluck off when it's a seedling, pluck off the flowers. So the energy can go into producing a really thick stem. Right now, I just pruned, watered, and I'm gonna put some of this compost down. Compost is basically feeding these new plants. So let me just finish composting everything, and then we'll move to the cantaloupe area.
So here, continuing composting.
Yep. So this one's a how do you say? Oh no, this is a butternut squash. We eat squash. What we do, we make squash soup. It's good to make instead of tomatoes, use squash as a base to pasta.
Even Chilean bread uses squash in it.
And sometimes we even cut it up, chop it up, and put it in the oven and bake the squash. Great as a side, instead of eating rice and potatoes all the time. I don't know if you want to get down here, Christian. So this may be a zucchini. And this may be a male flower. So this was a female flower. What sometimes people do is once this opens, take the pollen, and once the flower opens, take the pollen from here and pollinate these ones so it can grow faster. Now this compost was actually we found in the back. The previous owners of this house started a huge compost, and it's such beautiful dirt. Here I planted some marigolds. You can see the flower coming up. Marigolds are great repellers for certain insects. Cantaloupe is new for me this year. Never done it. I'm actually allergic to cantaloupe, but my family loves it, so I said, why not? Let's try to do it. We have the room. So I started the cantaloupe seeds in the germination room. A couple of days ago, I started transplanting it, and I just pruned these dead leaves off. Again, pruning promotes growth. I do see some cantaloupe sprouting here, and what I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to take these cantaloupes off, pluck them off, until this starts to get bigger and thicker and stronger. Then I'm going to try to, I think this may be a cantaloupe up here. Maybe I'll leave that one alone. But hopefully, and then on here, I'm gonna leave all the cantaloupes here. So right here, this is what I would prune. Let's see this leaf. I'll prune this. I'll prune this. And cantaloupe is a vine plant. So some people would let it grow on the ground, but you risk the chance of decaying the cantaloupe if it grows on the ground. So I decided to start a trellis. So here, like, see, it vines. This will hook up. It will grow and hook up onto the trellis here, and it will support itself as it grows taller. So here, like you see here, I'm gonna leave these ones alone. But on the other plant, I'm gonna pluck off and see if it makes a difference in growth speed. So another melon that we're growing is watermelon. Started it with seed in the germination room. It's kind of a slow grower compared to the cantaloupe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transplant this now into this bed. Another thing to know about melons is that they do cross-pollinate, so they should not ever be planted in the same bed together. So if you're doing cantaloupe and watermelon, this should be in different beds. So this is how I transplant. So right here, I'm gonna be growing a trellis on 1 foot away from the bed. The soil's actually dry. I try to keep it moist because if I know I'm gonna transplant. And you just squeeze the bottom here and carefully tip it out. Look at those roots. Great for transplanting right now. And then just dig in and carefully push. And when you transplant, you make sure you water this in. It may look limp, that's okay. Water it, and the next day it should not be limp. Watermelon. Now the next watermelon, I'm gonna do two feet apart. So 1, 2. So I would transplant the next watermelon around here. So let's put this one in. Again, squeeze. Look at those roots. Oops. It's okay. There we go. Watermelon. Again, like, share, and subscribe. And hit that alert button so you know what's happening with my watermelons. Another journey for me is artichoke. Never grown artichoke before. Don't know what it will look like at maturity. If it's a flower or one flower per seedling, have no idea. So what I would like you to do is like, share, and definitely subscribe to our channel to see how artichoke matures.